And welcome to another Round the Rotary podcast. Me, your host, JP Warren, and with us today is Danny Stunkard. But before I get into his long title, I'm going to say that Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants. CPC specializes in project engineering and well site supervision in all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. You can contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you today.
That's my favorite part.
That is?
Yeah. Honestly, hey, for everybody out there, I tried to get JP to let me do the plug. He wouldn't do it.
You got a good radio voice?
He says he takes it really serious.
Do you have a good radio voice?
Of course.
Let's see you do it then. It's right here.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to kick this off. We're going to have Danny do the CPC plug. So if you can go ahead and read that. Go ahead.
So this Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants. CPC specializes in project engineering and well site supervision in all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. Contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you.
See? It's fun to do.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It is fun.
And then when you have the earphones on and you're talking to the mic, it sounds much more official, doesn't it?
I feel super official here.
Well, you are. Everyone listening right now, this is Danny Stunkard, the Senior Business Development Manager at Edge OFS. And you just started this role recently, didn't you? Monday.
It has been a crazy week.
And we are recording this on a Thursday. So you're 4 days in, You're fresh, new job, new year, same oil field, kind of, a little bit.
New job, who dis?
All right, so let's first off, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
And
thanks for having me.
I remember you and I were talking about getting you on earlier, and you're like, "Hold up, JP, there's a change coming. I'd rather come on a little. Let's push a little bit.
Pump the brakes.
Let's get together in the new year."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, well, let's see what's going on."
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here today. And why don't you kick us off like we always get kicked off?
Okay.
Where are you from? Your background, long or as short as you want it.
Okay, so I'm from a small town in northeast Oklahoma.
What town is it called?
Fairland, Oklahoma.
Have you heard of Poxahatchee, Poughkeepsie?
No, but man, it's Oklahoma. Like everything's named after.
Okay, that's where my in-laws are from. So just
Oklahoma?
Poxahatchee or something like that. Yeah, my dad.
Poxahatchee,
something like that. No, not Connecticut. Oklahoma.
Okay.
So you grew up there.
Okay, grew up there. Man, it's great growing up in a small town. All the country songs you hear about it. I mean, it's all true.
Dirt road, pickup trucks.
I mean, the stuff we did growing up. I mean, just to give you a little background, my younger brother, who he's actually a lot more responsible than I am now. He got caught drinking in town, drinking and driving.
Okay.
The cop literally followed him home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those, pour it out, I'll follow you home.
Yeah, it's that kind of town. So I grew up with a lot of teachers.
Okay.
My dad was an ag teacher in town, so of course he knew everybody because it's a rural town. Okay. Lots of farmers, lots of ag stuff going on.
So your dad was a teacher. Mm-hmm. Okay.
My dad was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My mom used to sub at the school. I've got other extended families that are all educators. So, at an early age, I kind of thought that that's the path that I would probably take, right?
Right.
Go to Oklahoma. Everybody went to Oklahoma State. It's just what we did. It's the ag grant school.
Did you want to go into teaching?
No, man. I just thought that's what I would do.
That's what everyone did.
Teach and coach football or do something. Like, I didn't want to be an ag teacher like my dad. Like, I wasn't. I was more focused around sports. My brother's the huge Aggie. Like, he's a crop adjuster now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he kind of stuck with it. And he was actually an ag education major in school.
Okay.
But I knew that I kind of wanted to do something different. I was a big people person. So when I went to Oklahoma State, I actually majored in political science.
Okay.
Which now I don't have the stomach for a lot of the politics.
I'm over
and a lot of the bullshit, to be honest with you.
I'm over it.
But that's what I started out doing. Or that's what I kind of wanted.
What was your goal with that? Was that to be a teacher, or was that to be like I feel like either you're you're either a teacher or an attorney.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay. Hey, this is your show. You take me there. You take me there. Go on.
I'm gonna take you. Okay. So in high school, I paged for the Senate a couple times. Thought it was awesome getting to go to the Capitol, do that kind of stuff. I think that's really when I started developing like people skills and, kind of seeing the big picture of, okay, these guys are cool. And, they're not just, doing ranchy stuff all day is like what you used to say. Which, don't get me wrong. I love ranchy things.
I love ranchy things.
When I can go back home and do ranchy things, like that is a release for me.
Pound sign ranching. I get it. I'm all about that.
Pound side, yeah. Okay, so getting into politics at an early age, you know, come from a family that was, my dad's side was from Tulsa. They were staunch Republicans. My mom's side was, you know, hardcore blue collar Democrats, but like the old Democratic Party, not
I get
like
you. I'm with you.
Not the Kamala Democratic
I got you.
Party. You know what I mean?
I do.
But anyway, just raised around some really, really good people. When I got in Oklahoma State, I majored in political science. Did that for a couple years. So I come home and I go on an ag trip as a chaperone with to the state convention in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So, you know, my dad's there and some of his good friends that are there chaperoning. They're like, "Oh yeah, you know, you're going to Oklahoma State political science. You know, what are you going to do with that?" And I'm like, "Man, I honestly don't know." Oh, obviously.
Did you like studying political science?
I hated the papers.
Okay.
There's a lot of papers.
Okay.
Man, just like, and I was like, you know, year 2, year 3. So I wasn't even like into the, you know, upperclassmen writing like huge papers. But I was already burnt out on the papers.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Like, I loved a lot of the aspects of the classes, but just that portion. And plus, I don't know, man. A lot of the professors were, you know, liberal-minded Democrats, and here I am, you know, small-town Oklahoma, and I'm like, okay, well.
And it didn't fit your views.
It didn't always fit my views, which
that you grew up with.
Yeah, that's not why I changed my major, but, you know, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just kind of over this, right? So going back to that state convention, everybody's asking me, like, oh, you're going to graduate in a couple years, what are you going to do? You know, and I'm like, oh, I really don't know. They're like, oh, well, obviously you're going to go to law school, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to go to law school. So I go back to school and revert back to, at the time, my second love, which was aviation. Okay, so I switched my major from political science to aviation management and started pursuing a career in aviation.
So what would be an aviation degree? What would they go into?
Okay, so I started flying, and I realized really quick that flying wasn't for me. You know, I went ahead and saw it through there for a little bit, but I
mean, being 6'5", we hate heights.
Yeah, dude. Have you ever crawled in a little Cessna?
Well, I mean, getting in and out of cars that aren't SUVs is tough for me. So yeah, I get it. I
mean, you're taking the flight lessons in a 172, and I'm like, okay. And granted, that's not what you're going to fly forever, but I was accumulating a lot of buddies that have already graduated, that they you know, they were becoming pilots. Flying private jets.
Right.
And such.
Okay.
So I was at a younger age, I was getting the opportunity to like on the weekends, man, I'm like jet setting to like Aspen or
really
freaking.
And you're flying it.
No, well, I'm riding around with my buddies.
Okay.
You know, because they had already graduated, they had already gotten jobs, and I did this for a long time. Like, I've flown all over the country on private jets.
All right.
And I'm not saying that as a brag. It's
that's a nice humble brag. I dig that.
Well, it was fun, man. It was fun, but I also realized that like that's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm laying up like, you know, yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't your passion. You weren't feeling it.
So I got into the aviation management aspect of it. Okay. So I was going to sell airplanes. You know, the salesman started coming out, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So I graduate college. And I go to work at an airport in Bethany, Oklahoma, which was a small reliever airport for Will Rogers, the big airport. Okay, so as I'm there working and I'm doing customer service stuff, you know, I'm doing ramp stuff. I'm fueling up planes, man. I'm like, you know, bottom of the totem pole, you know, new college kid. Like, they're making me do everything.
Yeah,
right?
you're the roustabout at the top.
Mm-hmm. It was like I was in the oil field and I didn't even know it yet.
Right.
You know? So, cleaning a lot of shitters, man. Yeah. Just doing whatever. Well, as I'm doing that, man, like, I'm seeing, like, with this being a small airport, I'm seeing all the oil and gas traffic come in.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, I'm seeing people on a day-to-day basis. I didn't realize it yet, but people that literally shaped the industry that we're in now and the shale boom. I mean, I'm literally seeing Aubrey McClendon weekly, Tom Ward,
this is big,
Harold Hamm.
Big, heavy hitters.
I didn't know who they were then, and this is like 2007, 2008. Like, literally, you know, during that time, they were shaping the shale boom,
right?
Which is pretty cool. I mean, I think back now, and I'm like, dude. I
But
mean,
it's
that's
kind of
just-
it's also kind of cool being exposed to that, and not knowing these who these people are, and I guess the clout that comes with them in our industry. That way you can approach them and not kind of be nervous, just kind of just talk to them.
Yeah, man. And I've probably said hi to all of them, and they've probably all said hi back. And I mean, they have all got their different personalities. Aubrey was always like super serious, like running through the airport like he's got something to do. You know what I mean? Harold Ham, always more kickback. Setting kind of bullshit with you a little bit. He's not going to give you too much time, but he's going to say hi. He's another good old boy from Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Right. Tom Ward, super conservative, like kept his head down. But I kind of got to learn these guys, and I didn't know what they were doing at the time. Looking back, it's really awesome. So I started asking questions like, how do I do what these guys are doing?
Right.
And I'm pulling the pilots to the side, and I'm like, because I'm already buddies with them. I'm like, hey man, what are these guys doing? Like these. And they're like, oh, dude, you need an engineering degree to do what they're doing, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at the time, coincidental, man, and this is going to blow you away, I'm dating a girl whose dad is...
That does blow me away. Oh, wait, there's more. Go on.
Go on. I'm dating this girl, and we were just getting serious, the whole out of college thing, her dad is a district manager for a wireline company.
Really?
All I knew about that was, like, every time I saw him, like, he had... His coveralls said logging engineer. I didn't know what he did. I thought it had something to do with forestry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Started asking questions. And so I go to him, ironically, I go to him and I'm like, hey, I want to get in the oil field, and he's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, yeah, man, I want to do what you're doing. He's like, no, because I knew they lived in Weatherford, Oklahoma. They had a nice house. He had
This is what year is this?
This would be 08.
08, so...
No, yeah, 08.
So 08,
yeah.
he's saying don't get in the oil field.
Yeah, he's like, no, you don't want to. Okay. And 08 was a rough year,
right?
Man. I mean, there was people jumping out of buildings, and the economy was crashing, and just like it was a rough time, man.
That's very dark, but okay, let's bring us back to the good banter.
Okay, so he's trying to talk me out of it, and he's like, all right, this is what I want you to do if you really want to get in it.
Well, let me ask you a question. If he's talking you out of it, and you're hearing this person who's this industry professional who's been in this for a long time, and he's talking you out of it, and you still had this mindset like, I still want to do it.
Look at go back and look at like who I was seeing every day.
Yeah, you're seeing the people with the jets.
Engineers. I'm seeing guys in jackets.
Right.
A few like nice white clean hard hats.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing.
You're not seeing
the service side,
the blood, sweat, and tears side of things. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, look. He said, if you want to get in the oil field, you need to head west, because I was in Oklahoma City. He's like, you need to drive west, and you need to go apply to these places. So he told me like Halliburton, BJ Services, Weatherford,
the big names,
the big ones, right? And he knew people at every. Go talk to so and so. Go tell him I sent you. Blah 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 blah. Again, so it's like 08. Nobody's hiring, especially they're not hiring a kid out of the college without any.
Yeah, who's been working planes. Right?
Yeah, cleaning shitters like we talked about.
Right.
So, Case Toll Solutions was literally my last stop, because I was hoping to get on at Halliburton. It was the only one I'd ever heard of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Big Red.
I was the same. I was the same way. Like I didn't know anything about the oil field when I started. I remember when a staffing company set up an interview at Noble Drilling, and I remember I lived with a guy that works at Noble Energy, and I had no idea about the oil and gas industry. So I get ready, get primed up. I go to Noble Energy, and I'm like, hey, is there I'm here to meet with blah, blah, blah. They're like, I think you're in the wrong place. I was like, no, it's Noble. They're like, is it Noble Energy or Drilling? I was like, is there a difference? So like, yeah, you're in Greens Point, the other one's in Sugar Land. So so I had no idea as well.
Yeah.
I was clueless to it.
Right. Yeah. Same thing, man.
So you're there.
Okay, so last stop was Case Toll Solutions, and his name was Rick Whalen. So I drop Rick's name, and they're like, "We'll find a spot for you." Okay. Rick had worked for Case Toll a long time. I think he had started American Case Toll with him. He's like, college degree, that's great. We just hired another kid from college. We got a spot for you in Louisiana. So I'm like, okay, cool. Man, I'd never been to Louisiana. I'd barely been to Texas at this point. Okay. You know what I mean? So January of 2009, I quit the job at the. I was working for Atlantic Aviation, the fixed based operator there.
So did you graduate with aviation management? Mm-hmm. So here you are. You invested 4 or 5 years. I don't know if you're on the 5-year track or whatever. 6 years. Maybe 8. There we go. Maybe 8. Maybe you got your PhD, but the PhD years. But.
Lots of credit hours. So in fact, I don't even think they let you graduate with as many credit hours as I did. Now I think they kick you to the curb.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of kinesiologies in that. Uh-huh. So you decide to go aviation. You work in aviation, all this stuff, mm-hmm. and then you just say, you know what, I'm done. You walk away and you decide to travel and just go to Louisiana.
Because as I'm talking to these people that are like managers of the FBO, and I'm talking to all my buddies that are pilots, none of them was making really good money that I heard these oil and gas guys were doing.
So the financial
the
side
money
of things,
was a driver.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here talking to the manager of the FBO, and he's probably pushing 50.
Yeah.
And he's bringing home $55,000 a year, which nothing wrong with that. I just thought if there's an opportunity for me to go get more,
I'm gonna
let me go try to do that, especially if I can fly around on a jet plane.
Right. So you go to Louisiana.
So I go to Louisiana, and that is where my oil field career started.
Okay.
I was an operator, a wireline operator. I've been in wireline the whole time. So I go to Louisiana, and man, it is just nothing like what I expected.
Would you expect, and what was it like?
Well, they hand us these coveralls, and I wasn't expecting them to get that dirty, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And the mechanical aptitude that you needed to really do that job, I lacked. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to, I know how to work cows, and, I managed to get through college and stuff like that. But, just keeping stuff running on location, I mean, that's a whole different, skill set.
Well, what kept you committed to that? I mean, you're going here; it's completely different than what you expected. A lot dirtier and a lot more technical. Than you expected. What kept you with it?
Man, I had some good people in it that kept me going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A district manager that I ended up following up to Pennsylvania, which was my next stop. I was in Louisiana for 10 months.
Okay.
So I follow him. He gets transferred to PA to actually be in corporate sales, and he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, we need some good folks up here." Like this was in the beginning of the Marcellus, like what Risby has talked about.
Yep, and you weren't doing. What a podcast plug, listener! I love that.
Just saying.
I love that. We have a long time listener here. I love it. So when you moved to PA, is that when you first got into sales?
No, we're not there yet.
Ooh, get us there.
No,
okay.
We've got like several grimy years of
what are you doing
of making a hand.
What are you doing making a hand? What are you doing?
Same thing I was doing in Louisiana, just not as humid.
Okay, all right.
So when I pull up to PA, it's like February of like 2010 or something. Okay. And I literally pull up in my little Jeep Wrangler with Cherokee Nation Oklahoma plates, which a lot of people don't know what that is. But in the middle of a blizzard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just, holy shit, what did I get myself into?
Where am I? And I'm far away from home.
I thought Louisiana was, different.
Yeah.
I don't want to say bad because I love the state.
It's different.
But it was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I'm up here and I might as well have been in like Prudhoe Bay because that's how far I felt from home, right? So.
That's a shock.
Dude, it is. So luckily I get up there, man, and the whole shop, I mean, there's some guys from PA there, a lot of guys from Oklahoma. And a few guys from Texas, right? Like I said, the Marcellus just kicking off.
So we're importing quality workers.
Yeah, quality Southerners up there.
I guess they're importing, we're exporting. Yeah.
And man, they made me feel right at home. And again, that support staff kind of grew.
But that's what I love about our industry. Like, no person has the same background, the same path, same this, same that. But it's I don't care if you're from Lagos, Nigeria, or you're from Al-Kabar, Saudi, or you're from Midland, Texas. I mean, the common bond is there. You know what I mean? It really is an oil field family.
Yeah, we're all there to get our hands dirty, and get shit done, and make a paycheck. Right?
Exactly.
So I'm up there in Pittsburg, and dude, Pittsburg was fun.
I've heard Pittsburgh.
I can't really get into how much fun Pittsburgh was, because my wife's going to listen to this podcast.
Right.
But it was a great time.
And I guess your ex girlfriend's father will listen to it too.
Maybe.
Okay.
We broke up in the transition of all that. But
I think that's an important piece before you segue and bring up a wife. But anyway, that's just me. Go on.
Yeah. No. Anyway. But she didn't make it to Pittsburgh.
That's the thing, though. I mean, growing up, I'm an '80s baby, and you usually hear about Pittsburgh being like steel, gray, like grimy. But apparently, it's this beautiful, like legit spot where, like, when people go there, they don't want to leave.
No, yeah. Pittsburgh was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we had a good time. It was just a lot to do in that city. And honestly, it was the first time that I experienced a big city, you know, outside of, like, you know, visiting Tulsa or visiting Dallas.
Right,
And I grew up
right.
around Tulsa, but, you know, so just, you know, the nightlife and everything that it had to offer, you know, and so we're busting our ass and you know, working our 20-day hitch or whatever. And then, you know, 7 days off, we're having a good time.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah, work hard, play hard. So hung out in Pittsburgh for a couple years. Learned about how much they started sending us to North Dakota.
Okay.
Okay, so now they're sending the good old Oklahoma boys to North Dakota. We're gonna get shit done. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, we're gonna make hands up here. We got up there, and that's where we met some real hands. Turns out North Dakota hands are just as handy as Oklahoma hands.
I can only imagine.
But so they're sending us up there, man, and we're on Pennsylvania wages. You know, and these guys up here working for at the North Dakota shop were getting paid like $5-6 an hour more than we were.
North Dakota wages.
North Dakota wages.
Okay.
And I'm like, so I got my another key point here. I got my buddy Dallas with me. I've already, like, we grew up together. He lived with me in college. I've already sucked him into the oil field too. So he's like bouncing
Good
around
job.
everywhere with me. You know
Is he
what I
still in
mean?
the oil field?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's a long-time listener of the show.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, him and I are running around and, you know, I'm like, dude, we need to move to North Dakota. Like, this is where the money's at. And he's like, you're out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like, you want to move
Yeah.
up here permanently? I'm like, yeah, these guys are killing it, you know? So, anyway, we do it. We move up there, and man, I don't regret that decision at all because I met good guys in Louisiana. I met good guys in Pittsburgh, but the people that I met working in North Dakota, not all of them are from there, but just the people working in North Dakota, like, I'm still friends with to this day.
Just some good,
And yeah,
good
just
people.
good people. I mean, everybody's up there. This was 2011, the winter of 2011, which was like a staple winter up there. Okay, X amount of days and net below -40 and all that shit.
We still
right?
talk about it today in
Yeah.
Houston, how bad it was.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, we're up there enduring that, and I think when you go through that with people, like, you know, you just tend to stay close to them.
Oh,
right?
it creates such a bond.
Such a
Absolutely.
bond.
I mean,
And-
you're in the situation together. You're in the trenches together. Yeah, of course it creates a bond.
So this was like 2012, man. I mean, the oil field's hot. You know,
Yeah.
we've got like 15, 16 trucks running. You've got operators making $180,000 a year, field engineers making $400,000 a year. Life is good. I mean, I knew several guys that went out and bought $80,000 bass boats and shit like that. You know what I mean? So, like, it was the good times of the oil
good
field.
time in the oil field.
So, you know, by this time I was 3.5 years into it. You know, ready to kind of get promoted to
Okay.
the engineer. Like, okay, I've done the whole ground thing. I've learned everything I can learn here. What do I got to do to get in the seat? You know, become a wireline engineer. So I go and talk to the district manager there, who was a great guy. You know, just a really good guy. And he's like, man, the only way I'm going to put you in the seat is if you move here. You got to commit. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I can make that commitment. You know what I mean? Housing was just ridiculous. And it's not the Williston that you see today. And Tommy Blez can tell you a good story about that too.
Okay.
But we'll get into that. But, I mean, there was no motels. There was guys living out of their trucks. Luckily, they put us in an apartment there in Williston.
All right.
So we were kind of taken care of, you know, as operators, but a lot of operators were just living where they could live because there was no housing.
Yeah, they're
anywhere,
renting
right?
rooms out in people's homes. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much
Dude,
create a camp wherever.
Looking back, it was nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nuts then, but when you really look back to what it is now, like, it was crazy what people were doing just to go to
sleep.
work. Yeah, and it's really cool that I got to experience that.
Okay.
Like, when you talk about the oil field, I'm happy I was up there, and I'm happy I actually got to see what was really going on.
Because that's kind of like old school oil field. It's like
Now it is.
It's like
You know
kind of
what
it's
I
like
mean?
it's like regardless of our situation, we're to make it. We're going to find a place to sleep, and whether it's this, you know, this room and this double wide that I don't even know this lady, or whether
Yeah.
it's like sharing the bathroom. Like you're making it happen.
Yeah, so we were letting these two guys stay in our apartment, which we weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
They're like, this is y'all's apartment. Nobody else can stay here. But we felt so bad for these dudes because they had just drove up from, like, Pennsylvania or something.
Just to find
and they're
some work.
literally, like, sleeping in a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
Like, kicking the seats back. And I'm like, man, y'all come stay with us. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Right? So up there for all that, go to the manager. I said, what do I got to do to get promoted? You know what I mean? And he said, I can't promote you unless you commit to moving to North Dakota. So I said, okay. We start, Dallas and myself, we start looking for other jobs. I'm like, okay, where can we go where they're making money? Reached out to, some boys over at Horizontal Wireline and over at Allied, where at the time Brignac was selling, ironically.
That's
you know
what I
mean?
Brignac Allied.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, end up getting a job with Horizontal. So here we go, back to Pennsylvania. I'm like,
okay,
back to the party. All right. So Horizontal was great. Learned a lot there. Started training to run a truck. About that time, Horizontal was opening up a district in South Texas. So they're like, hey, man, you're from Oklahoma. You're pretty close to Texas. Why don't you move down there?
Yeah. Well, closer than here, but
yeah. So I ended up going to South Texas with Horizontal, open up that yard.
So you're still operations?
Yeah, still ops.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So,
well, that's not a stupid question. I'm just trying to guide. No, I'm just trying to. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm structuring. I'm framing it up. Okay, I'm trying to guide the listeners right now, so they understand where they're there with you.
Yeah.
So you're in operations now.
Painting the picture.
Yeah, you don't have to look at me like, yeah. Anyway, you don't have to bully me on this podcast. Anyway, keep going on.
Okay, so.
So you go to South Texas.
Go to South Texas. Open up a shop, man.
Nice.
We're cranking stages out. We're working for Stat Oil Marathon.
And what year was this?
This would have been 12 going into 13.
So Eagleford was blowing and going.
Just blowing.
So how was that opening
man.
up a shop during, I guess, the peak of, or getting close to the peak of a hot basin?
It was awesome. Work came easy. You know what I mean? You got a truck. When can you rig up?
Okay.
There was no shortage of work. Everybody's making money.
So that pressure's not there.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. We weren't looking for work at this point. Mm-hmm. Up to this point in my, I guess through that, like, work came easy.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably, and I wasn't on the sales side or the management, but you're probably turning down more jobs than, you have to worry about, right?
The good old days.
The good old days.
Right.
So down in South Texas, I'm running a truck now, doing what I wanted to do, doing what I thought I was going to do in this career. And then Ozzy Rushing was my district manager, who is actually a salesman now for next year, works for Tommy. Okay. So Ozzy's my DM, and he invites me to dinner one night with a guy named Greg Frazier, who was the salesman there at Horizontal. So I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll go meet the salesman, because I had no idea what how that worked, right? So we go down and have dinner, and I see Greg. This dude rolls in. He's from Austin. He's got nice hair, press shirt, and all this stuff. He's in Victoria seeing customers and just doing salesy stuff. And I'm like, light goes off. I'm like, I want to do what this dude's doing.
I want to do salesy stuff.
Like, what do I got to do to have his job?
Yeah.
So. Man, in those days, we're all getting blown up by recruiters. Like you look in your inbox and it's just recruiters this. They want to recruit you to every...
No, I don't know that. I don't know that experience, but I'm sure a lot of people do. That didn't happen across the table. But anyway.
Well, that wraps it up.
So that happened. So you're getting blown up.
So, yeah, man, I tell a recruiter, she called me Jessica Laburn. She's still recruiting in the industry today. She calls me, and I was like, Jessica, honestly, what I want to do now, don't worry about finding me a job somewhere else. I want to be in corporate sales. So, like 3 weeks later, she calls me back, and she's like, hey, there's an opportunity with Wildcat Wireline, and they are looking for someone who has got field experience.
Okay.
So I'm like, great. So I drove to Houston, interviewed for the job, got the job. And it's just been salesy stuff ever since.
So this is your first sales job at Wildcat Wireline?
January of 2014.
How was that? It's January of 2014. Okay, so you had about 11 months of good times before shit hit the fan.
You're exactly right.
So I guess going from South Texas, operations all over the country, working in the field and all that stuff, and now you moved to Houston, corporate sales. How was that for you? How was that going in offices or trying to meet people and make connections and network in this new environment, new office, new city? How was that for you?
Dude, surprisingly, I think I picked up on it pretty damn quick.
Well, what worked for you? How did you pick up?
I'm showing up to Houston. I've got field knowledge. I can kind of talk the talk. I could talk the talk better then than I could now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just because I was like,
you lose it.
yeah, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, you got issues? Like we can fix them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And 2014 was so busy that I got exposed to a really good customer base that, you know, it's really still those customers that I was exposed to then that it's why I'm here now.
Well, back then, I remember 2014, people wanted to go out. People, I mean, take COVID out of the situation, but like I remember back then, like the industry conferences, like Doug Permian, Doug Eagleford, they were very well attended by customers.
God.
Very well attended. And then 2015, 2016, it started going downhill. So it was all, so back in the day, yeah, operators did want to go out. They did want to attend these events.
And fortunately for me, I got thrown in at the very tail end of that. So I got, like you said, about 10 or 12 months of exposure to that,
right.
Where, you know, here I am, new to Houston, living in Midtown, company credit card, you know, whatever you guys want to do, we can go do it. Right. You know what I mean? Like we can have fun, we can talk. It was like the perfect storm. You know what I mean? Because if I would have got in at 15 or 16, it could have been a complete different story.
It's a different tone. Yeah.
We all know, like, you know, 2015 and on has just been a grind.
Yeah.
So luckily that you know, the exposure that I got propped me up to you know, to where I am today.
And where are you today?
Well, I'm in a checkered room, I think. There's some deer on the wall.
So that'd be okay. So going back, I just wrote this down. I mean, you're talking about, you know, 2015 on until today. It's 2021 these days, and you're right. It has been a grind. Have you had fun though?
Oh, I've had a blast.
You know what people?
God, this is such a great career. Man.
You know what?
Such great people.
A lot of people say it's like, you know, like, oh, back when oilfield was fun. Back when oilfield was fun. Like,
yeah,
man, I'm tired of hearing that because it's like you keep on out of that depression, pessimistic pile. I don't want to hear it. Like I honestly I'm having fun. I'm meeting people. I'm connecting other people to other people. Like it's fun. Like it's fun meeting people. It's fun engaging with people and establishing relationships. Like that's the best part for me. So it doesn't matter if there's, you know, over 1,000 rigs or 400 rigs. Like I'm still having a good time.
Yeah, no, it's a great job, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Getting to do, like, wake up and do what I love to do.
When did you find your stride in your sales role? And I guess what tools did you use or utilize to get you there? That's a great question, JP.
That is a great question. Pass. No, I'm just kidding. So, like I said, I had some technical ability, so I was able to, you know, actually go into a meeting and carry, you know, my own weight
and speak towards the issue.
Towards the engineers, right? You know, so, and I think a lot of them really appreciated that.
Was this your first exposure to the engineers in office? Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay,
just like it was mind blowing, all of it. You know what I mean? Like the breakfast runs and just high level meetings and high level ass chewings and all that, man. Well, I took some ass chews in the field. I mean, honestly,
right.
But you know, I guess that's kind of where I picked up my stride. And then I'm a people person, so I like meeting people and running around with people and doing stuff with people. So that was second nature. You know, like, you want to pay me to do that, plus I get to talk about what I already know. Yeah. I mean, it's
a pretty good gig.
When you talk about stride, like I kind of feel like I hit the ground running, and you know, I haven't really looked back since.
So what's your strategy?
What's my strategy
in sales? Yeah, I mean, how do you approach? How do you get in? How do you get that relationship? I mean,
try to build rapport with people. Obviously, you know, like what do we have in common? You know, what can you and me talk about? You know, because I think, you know, with the life experiences that I've had and we're both in the industry, I feel like, you know, there's got to be something you and me can talk about. And it doesn't happen with everybody, but like 90% of the people, I can find something to talk about with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whether it's hunting,
I mean,
fishing.
So I mean, getting into that, I mean, so we talked about that a little bit before. You know, we haven't seen each other since cook-off, I don't think. And that's before. That's before. Yeah, I know. That's before everything shut down.
I would have went on Saturday night had I known that COVID was just gonna do what it's done.
I wouldn't have, because after 2-3 days, I'm done.
Yeah, I went Thursday, Friday, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, it's usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for me. But
No,
so I mean, so that being said, I mean, you talk about hunting and fishing, and that's the thing. It's like I'll go to a camp and sit by a fire and drink bourbon. You know, that's my thing. You know, like, but that being said, I mean, it's also a thing that, like, I can't speak to it, but at the same time, you have that. It's not even in common, but we can talk about this. So let's talk about it right now. So during this whole time, I guess during the last 11 months or 10 months, however long it's been, 9-10 months during lockdown, you've been doing a lot of hunting and fishing. Correct.
Yeah.
Is that just because it's difficult to go see customers right now, or is it what's kind of driving that? Because you kind of brought this up earlier.
Yeah. Well, going back to that stride, I mean, okay, so last 10, 11 months, it's been hard to get in front of people. Okay, but what you can do is get people outside.
Yeah.
So I've got a boat. My buddy Trey has a boat. We fish a lot.
Yeah.
People like to fish. It's different than, and people's wives will let them go fish in COVID. They may not let them go to a bar or a happy hour, but like, oh, you're going to be outside. You're going to bring home some redfish or trout or something like that. So I spent all summer. I don't want to sound like I'm lazy that I wasn't working, because I was grinding it out too. But I mean, like,
so I'm gonna stop you right there. Like, okay. I think right now, like, as you've listened to this, it's like you have to come up with you have to use what you got. You have to go in your toolbox and use what you got. So whether that's a boat, whether that's a buddy with a ranch, or whether someone with that that knows a sommelier, or whether that's someone that that has a membership at a country club, like you have to use what you got to get people out. I don't care if it's hunting, fishing, or playing video games.
But going back to Dina's podcast, Dina was like, "What have you done during the downturn?"
Yeah,
and that kind of like, it made me kind of scratch my head.
That was a great question.
That was really.
What have
good.
you done?
Yeah. So I mean, in my mind, I've done everything I can. Number one, like, we turned a wireline district around from we kept 2 trucks going in the downturn, and by the time let's just say of December of last year, we had 14 trucks going.
When you say we, you mean
my previous employer.
There you go.
Yeah. So, so there was a lot of work, but just doing what you can do to get in front of people, fishing was a thing. I mean, we fished.
But what's funny though? It's like during that time, I'm with rig is getting kicked down from what. A lot to nothing. People are very cautious about what's going to happen to their career, their jobs. They don't know what's going on. They're seeing people get let go, consolidation, like those type of things. I mean, there was so much fear, and there is still fear. There's so much fear, negativity, everything getting blown up on your cell phone or the news or the media, or even. It's like one of those things, like if there's a pause in conversation, someone's going to bring up something negative, like, oh my God, so I heard there's a new strain of COVID. I heard there's a new this, I heard that. So, but that being said, getting people out and kind of like having those times together, it sounds like, oh, you just went fishing, but there's so much more to that, in my opinion. That,
like, taking people out and getting them on a boat was such a release.
Getting away from the noise.
For a lot of people.
Yes.
Like, because, I mean, not everybody has access to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we may not catch fish, but we're going to go to Galveston, we're going to catch a buzz, we're going to go to Matagorda, we're going to wade fish a little bit, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And it was such a great release for a lot of people.
That's so important these days to have a good time, So whether that's hunting, fishing, or golf, whatever we said, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I played golf too, anything you could do. But I mean, that's kind of how we navigated through COVID.
So you navigate through COVID, and next thing you know, you had great hair a week ago, and then you cut your hair.
Yes.
For your so let me ask you a question. You starting your job 4 days ago. Why did you cut your hair?
Well, let's so look. So I go to this ranch that I like to retreat to, and it's a great place. And my wife's like, "You got to cut your hair before you go." And I'm
okay,
like,
so as a wife, so my wife tells me to keep growing my hair.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say I'm getting some pushback, from some of our peers in the industry. Brignac's calling like, "When are you gonna cut your fucking hair?" Jesus?
Oh, dude, yeah, I get that. I get that at the office. You know what I mean? I get that from my daughter when I pick her from school.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm gonna ride this out, at least through 2019.
Okay.
But then the new job came, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to meet some high level people.
So were you looking, or did this something? Is this an opportunity? You don't have to speak to this if you don't want to.
No,
or
absolutely.
does an opportunity come up?
It was an opportunity. I was, and we've talked about this. We both know Bryce Ferguson.
Yes.
He's my boss now. Dude, I get a call.
Love that guy, Bryce. You're listening.
Yeah.
Bryce, I miss Ioga with you, buddy. We got to get back in the last flight. Okay, that's what I missed. Best time of the year.
I'm fishing.
Okay.
And I've got customers out. And I get a call, from San Antonio or whatever number he's got. I don't know.
210 probably.
Yeah, 210. I take the call and, hey, Bryce Ferguson. And I don't know Bryce. I've heard his name, but I don't know.
Well, how do you hear about you?
So Heath Myatt worked with me at C&J.
Okay.
And so he got, but also there was a frustomer that recommended me.
Okay.
A guy that you and I both know.
Hello. He or she's also a listener.
Guitar.
Oh man, loves Metallica.
Yeah, loves Metallica. Okay, so
True fans of the podcast know who that is. The person that jams out Metallica during a show. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, so Bryce calls me. Honestly, I took a lunch with him out of professional courtesy.
Right.
Because I wasn't. I knew I kind of set where I sat with my new company. I knew, what I liked about it, what I disliked, but. So I go meet with Bryce, and I meet with Charlie Prue, the COO over there, and Kurt. So I meet with Kurt, and we go have lunch, and man, I'm kicking it with these guys, just talking to them, and
It feels good.
It feels great.
Yeah.
I'm like, here I am, because my Perfect's, the company I was with, like they're based out of Denver. And none of those guys were traveling. And I get it, it's COVID, right? But just, go sit down with 4 guys and just kind of talk about the state of the industry and shoot the shit. And, man, what are your customers doing? And this kind of thing. It was great.
Right.
Man. Lunch spilled over into happy hour.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I look back, I've spent 5 hours with these guys. And, we all get up to leave, and Bryce is like, hey, this was good. Let's keep this conversation going.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we did, and
so it's kind of cool too, because before you're at a company that strictly sold wireline.
Yes.
You know what I mean. Now Edge OFS.
Yes.
It's you have an opportunity to actually call on new disciplines in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
This is not a yes or no question. This is an open question. So let's talk about it. This is what's going on.
Okay, so the cool thing about like what I've talked about before, I've got a really strong network. I've got great customers.
Yes.
And now I have 5 or 6 different product lines to offer them. You know what I mean?
How's the learning curve on that?
It's going to take some time and discipline, but I feel like I'm okay.
Yeah.
I've been in this thing long enough. I
Yeah,
understand what's going on at the wellhead. I've been in the field. Like, if I need to push coil, like, I can get the point across.
So it's exciting. I view that as exciting. If you have a Rolodex that just does
so
completions.
excited.
Well, don't get me wrong, I love completions engineers, but it's kind of cool how it kind of opens up your opportunity to meet people in the network.
So Edge has lasso drilling. So that's going to give me a new notch on my resume out pushing drilling rigs. So all you drilling engineers listening out there.
And there's tons of them
Holla.
listening out there. There's tons of them listening out there. So this new role, do you see it as much of a change when it comes to how you would sell or how you position yourself? Because before you're just doing a service, now you're kind of doing this umbrella package where you're kind of selling everything in the family business. Not the family package.
There's going to be a change. I had at C&J, I had exposure of pushing pumps, pushing wireline, and then assisting with coil tubing, assisting with frac, whatever I could do to help out, right? So, and that's when I really got to understand, the bundling process was at C&J.
You love that buzzword. You love that buzzword.
But yeah, this is. It's gonna be a change. There's gonna be a lot of moving parts, especially with my position. BD overall the company, so I get to go out and sell. I'm going to be held accountable for the knowledge of each product line. So
nothing against your old company at all, because I don't like discussing why'd you leave there or anything like that. But if anything, I would say what enticed you about this new opportunity during. It's actually during this pandemic.
The opportunity to grow.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because at my previous employer, we had sold out in Midland. I'd done my part to achieve that. Yeah. Had some talks with my boss about growth, and he was comfortable, and that's fine, man, because they've done a great job. Yeah. And
you did a great job there too.
Yeah, he's done something great. We turned that, like I said, we turned the pandemic era around from 2 trucks to 12. And through all this, and it's fine. I just felt like this was too good of an opportunity to pass up. With 5 or 6 different companies.
That's kind of cool, though. You get to learn so much more.
Yeah, man, lots of opportunity at growth. And, like I said, I kind of got something for everybody now.
Have you changed your strategy at all, I guess, when it comes to sales? I mean, I feel like you kind of have to, but, I mean, besides switching jobs, what are you, and fishing and hunting, like, what other, have you changed anything or done anything new or anything like that?
You mean in the last 4 days?
In the last, no, I'm talking about like...
Man, I haven't even got my laptop set up yet.
But you got a haircut.
I did.
So the haircut, that was going back to the question, that was kind of for more, it's a new job, get a clean cut, look professional, look approachable. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there an issue with long hair?
No, man, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
All right,
I might end up going back.
I think you should. Bring it back. I think the 70s and 80s has come back.
Vanessa, if you hear that, I mean, there's encouragement here.
I think you should. I think you should. And you can contact my wife, and my wife will tell her to encourage you to do that.
Yeah. Brignack's listening right now. Like these.
Oh, he's grinding his gears.
I'm just polishing my shoes.
He's probably scheduling a haircut right now. Or he's moving up his every 2-week haircut a week earlier.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yes.
You love live music.
Huh?
Just like a previous guest we had on, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me about live music. Where do you talk to me?
Okay. Always been a fan of music. My grandpa plays bluegrass.
Really?
My mom plays guitar.
Do you play anything?
I play guitar.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to put me live on a podcast.
I'm not going to do that.
But,
are you the guy that shows up to a party and plays Wonderwall?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I was the campfire guy.
God, I can't stand those guys. Anyway.
Someday. Yeah.
Yeah.
In college, I just ran around with a lot of guys that had a lot of musical talent. And, I mean, Oklahoma State, dude, it's like red dirt capital.
Okay.
Cross Canadian Ragweed, Jason Bolin, Stoney LaRue, all those guys that kind of paved the way for red dirt music. Like, I was there when all of that was.
So you used to go to live music a lot recently until everything changed. So do you?
Yeah, dude.
How do you? Have you been to a show since?
No, I don't think so, man. And I know they've kind of picked up. I know, here in town they're doing like some, special sections where you can have a group of 6 here.
Yeah, have you seen that where they build little platforms where it's like...
I've heard about it.
Yeah,
yes.
White Oak.
White Oak. That's right. I actually bought tickets to a concert. A little Stillwater band. What's their name? Anyway, I saw they were coming through. I was like, I want to go see these guys, and then I had to go to Midland. Shocker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It happens all the time. But no, I haven't been to a concert.
You know what's unfortunate, man? Like, I think with everything else, so I went to Snooze. I met up with a guy, another Wyline guy. I met him a couple days ago, and we're going to Snooze AM Eatery, and there's just for coffee, and there's just these like, it's like you're walking like Cubbies pretty much. Like every single table has these 7-foot tall clear plastic things cut in. I was like, you know what sucks? I felt like this is normal. Like,
you
moving
think
forward,
it's
this
stick.
is normal. It's kind of like, after taking your shoes off post 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, it's normal. Like, whether it's adds any safety or not, it's the illusion of safety brought on by fear. Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, is live music ever going to get back to where it was, where it's like you're actually in a concert? I hope it does. It does. But people are so...
I think so. You know why?
Why?
Because young kids are going to want to party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you can't take youth from people.
I get that.
And as long as there's young kids partying,
I get
there's
that.
going to be Co-Wetzel.
Yeah,
there's going to be
but
all these new guys.
The management of live venues and all that stuff. I mean, will they continue to implement these? Oh, you can only have.
Okay. I just remembered. I did go to a concert. It was during dove season.
Okay.
And I said Co-Wetzel. We went to a Co-Wetzel show.
Okay.
And it was in Hill Country, just some little venue. And man, this was dove season. It was September, kind of in the middle of everything, and like nobody was wearing masks. I'm not saying it was smart and responsible, but we went, and the place was packed.
So you think you have to start traveling out of cities to go?
So
see
you're gonna have
music.
to go to the Sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know those guys are still doing that, man, especially here in Texas.
So what's kind of annoying you these days about the industry or everything going on right now? Let's talk about annoying. I don't want to ask you what you're excited about.
Man, just people that you really want to see and get together with.
Wait, people that you really want to see annoy you?
No, I'm sorry. What's annoying me is people that like I want to see and hang out with.
Yeah.
And they can't.
Yeah.
Or they won't.
But you got to respect that, though.
I do respect
I think everyone's got their own, and that's an issue, too.
I do respect it. But I've got buddies that I haven't seen. And,
I know.
And I know why. They've got elderly grandparents. Or,
and it's fine.
And I get it. It's just annoying, man.
Well, first off, that is annoying. But second off, I mean, it also comes with a certain side of it. It's like, look, it's your own decision. Look, if you don't want to meet up for coffee or anything like that, like, you have to respect that, like... It's one of it's one of those things, like, if you're not drinking at dinner, like, don't call it out. It's their personal choice.
Right.
Like, don't get on their ass about not ordering a drink at dinner. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I know it's you want to see customers, you want to figure it out how, but yeah, there's a lot of people right now that are not seeing people, and they refuse to see people, whether it's a meeting or coffee or whatever. Yeah. And that is a frustrating part. So how do you stay relevant with those customers or those industry friends, whether they're salespeople or not?
Well, I mean, email, phone calls.
Yeah.
A lot of phone calls, a lot more phone calls than what you used to give. I mean, I honestly, JP, I don't mind picking up the phone and calling anybody now. And used to, it was like, oh, I'll send them an email. You know what I mean?
I'm all about that FaceTime these days.
Yeah.
It's like, if you FaceTime, it's like, let's do this. Like,
I haven't got it. Well, but yeah, I haven't really got him to FaceTime yet. Maybe I haven't tried hard
Try
enough.
it.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty normal these days.
Yeah. Is everybody hearing that? Like, you'll just come to expect it. That's what's going to happen from now on.
It's the new norm.
It's not weird.
It's the new norm. So what else? What else are we not talking about right now? What else? What else is going on in your mind? What are you excited about in the industry?
There's a small part of me that's excited to see what's going to come about of all this. Like, how is it going to change the industry?
Well, how do you see it changing? Let's get deep here.
Our breakfast run's going to come back. We don't know. I mean, I think maybe eventually.
Do you view breakfast runs as being beneficial?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
A big part of it. A big part of getting FaceTime, at least, like, making an effort in front of people that need to know that you're making an effort. Like, hey, I'm here. You may not talk to me, but I'm here.
But you see my card. You know that
they
made the effort.
You see me here. You may not walk in the kitchen and talk to me, but like.
But I'm making the effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a part.
But that's the thing, though. It's going to be replaced. You know what I mean? Whether companies move out of offices, because downtown's a ghost town right now. A lot of places. So whether companies move out of offices, whether they allow breakfast runs, I mean, there's going to be something that has to replace that. But that's the thing, though. I think during these times, it's going to be the people that show innovative, new, different ways, whether it's hunting, fishing, podcast, media, whatever it is, coffee runs or whatever. Mm-hmm. Roy Strong with a Site Pro came in the office this morning for a cup of coffee, and he did a post about he said, hey, look, I'd love to buy you coffee, and if you don't want to meet for coffee, well, here's coffee on me. And he shot out a little Starbucks barcode.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so smart. Like, he's buying coffee for strangers pretty much.
That's really clever.
And he got a lot of response back, I believe. And I just thought that was a great idea. It was innovative, it was new, it was contactless for people that don't want to be in close proximity with people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, stuff like that, I think, is going to start getting traction.
Yeah. Get creative. How are you going to bring value to customers?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? When you can't get in front of them, when you can't, bring tacos and talk about whatever well issues they're having, if they're not going to pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, I'm stuck, what do we need to do? Then what are you going to do to bring value? That's what we're all going to have to figure out. And that may be more on the technical side, like, hey, I have this new tool, like, let me tell you all about it. Or like, hey, man, if you need a release, let's go to South Texas and shoot some hogs or something. Yeah. Like, what can I do for you?
That's the thing, though. It's not one of the, like, there's a lot of people out there that are waiting for people to pick up rigs or, pick up a frac fleet or something like that. And that's when I'm going to start calling on you. That's when I'm going to start doing this. But, man, our industry is a lot more deep than that. I think the connections are a lot more deep. You got to pick up the phone, call your fellow brothers and sisters, just see how they're doing.
Yeah, I know Varnado just talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm driving around the Beltway calling people, and I know he did that because he used to call my ass. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
He's like, I'm driving.
Next thing you know, you're checking your watch. It's an hour and a half later. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, see you later.
Yeah, no, I didn't know until I listened to his podcast that he was literally driving all around the Beltway, but
Yeah.
I do know that son of a bitch was doing that.
Yeah, but I mean that worked for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think he had such a great message when it's like, if you come, you know, we need to reflect on what we're good at, our strengths and weaknesses. You know what I mean? So if I'm not the fisherman, I'm gonna call you if I got a fishing customer, and I'll tag along. I'll get the gas or something. Like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Buy the bait, man.
Yeah, something
Buy
like
the
that.
bait. Yeah.
What else?
You know, let's see, bringing value, and we've covered music. Well, how about this, JP?
You give it to me.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh man, I'll listen to anything. Okay, so I'm a very situational music type of guy. You know what I mean? Very broad.
Okay.
For example, the first day my wife and I were married, we're in Vegas. Went to go see Tiesto. You know,
Sweet, a little EDM.
Yeah, so I got my master's in France, and I kind of feel like I played some part in importing house or EDM into the States, so no big deal.
Okay.
But I mean, man,
What year was this?
got my master's in 10,
That's pretty early.
but I did study abroad a couple times in like 03, 04, so I feel partly
That's pretty
responsible
good,
for
man.
importing EDM.
That really is.
Sergio Simpson's we just listened to in there, old school country. AC/DC, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, classic, like it's all over the board. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The only thing I cannot stand is Texas country when I'm playing golf.
When you're playing golf, it is pretty overplayed.
Actually, Texas country, and a lot of times, but especially playing golf, it just drags out that 4-hour round to like it feels like 9 hours.
Yeah. You don't like Texas country at all?
Look, I'm not knocking it. It's good for certain times, but I'm saying if you're playing golf and you're trying to, you know, grip it and rip it and have a good time with your buddies, yeah, it doesn't pump me up.
Okay. Let's that's a great segue in. How was your Miami trip since we're
Miami
talking
was
about EDM?
awesome.
Yeah.
Miami
How was it
awesome.
good?
So I'm gonna frame it. So I recently went to Miami to go see the A&M play North Carolina again in the Orange Bowl thingamajig at Minute Maid, whatever. Anyway.
Madera? Hey, by the way,
What?
I'll probably want to, once we start picking stuff up, I may want to borrow that suit for a casino night.
So pretty much, so we're in Miami, and I'm wearing my Don Johnson suit, right?
Yeah.
So we go there. There's a couple sales guys, a couple customers, and all that stuff. And I haven't been to a game in years. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I just haven't. It's just, to me, it's not about going to the game. It's more about the hassle. You know what I mean? It's just like going to the rodeo. Like, I love the rodeo. I hate getting there, and I hate getting home. You know what I mean? It's just too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
So we went to Miami, and honestly, it was fine. It was a good time. I mean, we got a little Airbnb, tequila in the pool at 9:30. It was and just stayed there at Hollywood Beach. It was fun, man.
What was the crowd like? I watched the game on TV, but like, what was the stadium like?
Oh, the stadium. First off, the stadium.
Like a fourth full?
No, not even, man. There was like, and that was the weird part too. I mean, you go to the stadium, you go to this huge stadium, this beautiful stadium, the music's going, and there's like, it's I would say 25% capacity. It felt like. I might be wrong. Oh, it was actually 42%, JP. Well, sorry. But it felt like it was like a quarter full. But don't get me wrong, man. We were having a blast. Like, it was a good
So people were having fun.
Yeah, and I was trying to like, I'm not a sport. Look, I try to get into sports. You know, I love going to the games.
Big UConn women's basketball fan.
Exactly. But like, I remember there was a time in my life, like, you know, like everyone's like in the break room or the breakfast room, and they're all talking sports and all that stuff. And look, man, I've tried to get into it. Like, I remember there was a 3-month period. I downloaded the ESPN app. I started watching sports, and I tried to. It's just not in me. You know what I mean? I remember one time I left a lunch when a buddy of mine, Jason Wade, was meeting with Kennan, and they started talking A&M recruiting. They were gone for 15 minutes, and I used the restroom. I come back. I'm like, you guys still talking football? They're like, yeah. I was like, all right, guys, I'm out. Kennan, good seeing you. I'll see you later. Jason, bring him back to the office.
Yeah.
But no, man, it was just a good time, man. Like, it was fun. I kind of feel like I'm like 4-year-old virgin. Like, if I start talking sports, I'll get to like the third sentence, and I'll say something like a bag is a sand comment. They're like, wait a minute. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, I mean, there's some guys that work in our industry that are very knowledgeable of that. You know what I mean?
And I'm not.
Just football. And I mean, look, I've got a lot of, like, speaking of Aggies, like, I've got a lot of Aggie friends, man.
Yeah,
and
you
those
can go to
guys,
games.
Yeah, those guys are entrenched in it. Have you ever had a 5-minute conversation with Kyle Barris? Like
No.
Texas A&M football will be mentioned. Okay. And he's going to go back all the way back to like pre-World War II days of Aggie football.
Oh, the entire class in 41.
And what I found about a lot of Aggies, a lot of them can do that.
Yeah. Well, you know I was in the Corps at A&M.
Were you really?
Yeah.
You were in the Corps?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
You didn't know that?
No, dude.
So I grew up in Connecticut, and I like checked the box in the application. I just did the Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years.
I didn't know you were in the Corps.
Yeah, I was too lazy. I was too lazy to quit. So I did the Corps.
So, about Aggie football, and now, and for the record, I mean, I think I said this, but I went to Oklahoma State. I mean, I bleed orange,
right.
but I've got a lot of Aggie friends.
Yeah.
Here. And I've got a lot of LSU friends too.
And guess what? That's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And we can all get along.
That's okay.
Y'all know who I'm talking about out there.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so
the person that wears the A&M shirt to the game and then gets furious if you take the picture. Yes.
Oh yeah. So about 5 years ago, I started going to Aggie games, road games specifically with a good group of guys. John Ray from Innovex,
yep.
Kyle, John Garino, who's in midstream. Lane Neal, who's worked at Marathon, Vitruvian. Just solid guys, man. So we're like, hey, we need to start going to these road games. I mean, A&M's in the SEC. Like, I came from the Big 12.
Yeah.
Great conference.
Well, so did I. I graduated when A&M was in the Big 12.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, Manhattan, Kansas, nothing like Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Right.
So we're like, let's take advantage, while we're still like in our 30s and not just like down in our backs, and let's start going to some of these games. And man, we have had a great time. Dude, we've been to Tuscaloosa, Oxford, Auburn. My favorite was Gainesville, the swamp.
Okay.
Yeah, literally.
Nice.
I started, questioning why I didn't go to the University of Florida, because I'm like, this place is awesome.
I get it.
Like, yeah,
I get it.
Jean shorts.
I get it.
So, man, and we've made a few more stops, and I really hope that COVID hasn't killed that trip for us. We were all supposed to go to South Carolina this year. We pick a new SEC school every year. There's still some other stops. We want to go to Tennessee. Clemson, who's in the ACC. We all still want to go to Clemson.
Well, fortunately, man, I kind of feel like the look, people it's so easy to be stuck in the now. It's so easy, like, oh my God, nothing's going to change. But man, I think things will go back. I mean, people want to fill up stadiums. People want to go to concerts, just as you said. People want to do this. People want to do that. So it's just a weird year right now.
Yeah.
Year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, whatever.
That's one of my biggest fears is how long is it going to take college football to come back?
Yeah.
And it's not that I said it and watch the games and study the stats, because anybody who knows me, I don't.
But it still brings the community together.
But I love the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I love the the banter.
Yeah.
That it brings.
The gossip
like,
between LSU's going to be
just like you said, you walk in a break room, man. The first thing you can talk about is like who played who. Now you may only be in it for 5 minutes, and that's fine, because anything over 5 minutes is like you're probably a psychopath.
Yeah.
But and we know a lot of.
Once you start judging stats, then that's going to have an issue.
Yeah, but it's fun, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out,
it's a good rivalry.
I like to figure out where people went to school, because I feel like maybe I can build some kind of rapport with them through that.
Yeah.
So, man, I really hope that aspect.
I think it's going to go back. The thing is, though, like, look, Casino Night, Fin for Feather, like all these great events, football. Like, look, you just got to chalk it up to it's just a weird 2 years, year, 2 year, whatever it is, until things start kind of moving. But I think it's going to go back.
So what do you think about industry events in 2021 with this new strain of COVID?
Well, first off, viruses mutate. So the flu is a new strain every year too. That's how viruses exist.
Yeah, but
so
we're fresh into 21. We haven't had an event yet.
Okay.
At least that I've been invited to.
So what are you saying? So do I think events should be happening right now?
No. I'm asking, do you think that we're going to see some success with events?
I think so. I think there's a lot of people right now that once the vaccine starts getting kind of more, and once the news starts focusing on other stuff to talk about besides this, once the fear kind of gets reduced a little bit, I think events will be started. Because I think AED had a golf tournament. I don't know when it was, but it was like packed. Like it was so well attended. Not packed in an irresponsible way, but it was very well attended.
If that was a black horse I played in.
I think so. Yeah. I think it was.
And it was very well attended.
And look, here's the deal. I miss Casino Night's one of my favorite. I miss Casino Night. I miss Fin for Feather,
that's your gig,
which is a blast. Fin for Feather is my gig too, man. Like I miss all these events. I mean, for example, so I'll put together a Super Bowl party every year. You know what I mean? This year we're not doing it. I've had a couple of people ask me about it. I just don't think it's a good time to do it. Whatever I think about COVID, it doesn't matter. Whatever this person thinks, it doesn't matter. But I don't think it's a responsible thing to do right now because there is such a stigma with gathering in groups. You know, so it's probably a smarter year just say, you know what. Sure. Yeah. Next year. It's just a weird year. It's a weird year. Chalk it up as that.
Yeah, like no one's going to judge you either way. I mean, they shouldn't anyway, right? So.
But man, I wouldn't mind the AD thing in Galveston picking back up again.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Doug conferences again. Yeah. But that's the thing though. It's like, will it go back to 2017 to 2019 where it's all salesmen or salespeople, or will it be a new mix of like salespeople and customers? Right. I don't know.
Are the customers going to come back?
That's the thing, though. The freshman's going to come back, So
the Doug conventions, all that good stuff.
That was a good time.
Oh man, Doug back in the day. Oh, so much fun, man.
So you're excited about your new role. Congratulations, by the way. I think it's exciting.
Genuinely excited about this role.
Yeah, I think so. I think the opportunity to start something new, to meet new people, to have different avenues to grow in. I think it's exciting. I think you do a great job there.
Yeah, and there's some great people. I mean, there's great people like that work there, and there's great people in this.
You got Bryce, man. I mean, that's all you need to say is Bryce.
Don't hold that against me.
No, I'm not. I love Bryce. He's one of the best. He's a good buddy with a mutual friend that I've been Saudi with.
Howard Ruff is running the sales team, and Howard's awesome. Well, I'm sorry, Bryce is my boss, but Howard Ruff is the VP of sales and marketing. And that dude, like, just getting to know that guy in the last few weeks, that guy's awesome. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
He's a big fan of the show too, man.
What?
Oh yeah.
Well, if
you've got fans.
Well, if you've got mail. No, you don't. Well, if you're listening, I'd love for you to come on. But man, I think that's so cool what you've done. I disrespect the haircut before you did it, though. I think that's very conforming during a COVID time, and you don't have to do that, but that's okay. But man, I appreciate you doing this, and let's we got some steaks to throw in the sous vide right now.
We do. We actually we got a crowd coming over.
Yeah, we got a little group coming over. Yeah, about 6 people. Being responsible. So that being said, again, everyone, this is Danny Stunkard. You can find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, OnlyFans, MySpace,
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah. Well, your OnlyFans is you do sales stuff. This is how you sell. This is how you approach.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be sexual OnlyFans. Yeah. Anyway, he's the senior business development manager at Edge OFS, and man, I think I'm excited to see what you do and how you're going to do it, and going out there and creating value in new ways, because you really are starting a new sales position in I hate saying this, a new environment.
Yeah.
So
But it's also a new year.
It is a new year, but it's still kind of the same stuff that's going on.
Sure.
Just because it's a new year doesn't change anything. No, you can be optimistic, but I'm excited to see kind of how you attack your current role, and I look forward to staying in touch with you and hearing all about it.
Yeah, buddy, me too.
So
thanks for having me.
So if everyone needs to get in touch with Dan, you can find him again on LinkedIn, and it's Stunkard, Stunkard. Stunkard. I know I'm bad at reading. You saw my intro, so all right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in today, and I wish you the best. And good chat with you, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
Talk to you soon.